everyone, this is Ms. Moffat from across the Litiverse, and I'll be profiling 10 fantastic Canadian LGBTQ authors that you should be checking out right now. For starters, happy Pride Month, kids! I thought I'd kick off my own celebrations by showcasing some great LGBTQ authors with a Canadian twist. This year, Canada is celebrating its 150th birthday, so I thought it'd be fun to combine Pride Month celebrations with my nation's birthday party. And lo, here are 10 Canadian LGBTQ authors that you should add to your TBR pile. Number 1, Dionne Brand. Dionne Brand is a poet, novelist, essayist, professor of English, you name it. She was also Toronto's 3rd Poet Laureate, and in 2011 she won the Griffin Poetry Prize for her book Ossuaries. The Griffin Poetry Prize is worth $75,000 for the winning poet, just FYI. Her prose is just as poetic, and I'd highly recommend At the Full and Change of the Moon, which follows the life of Bola, a young escaped slave girl, and 6 subsequent generations of her family who are both haunted and vindicated by the dream of their defiant ancestor. Just as a fun side story, when I was working on my undergraduate degree, I took a poetry writing course, and my teacher actually invited Dionne Brand to come in to listen to our current work. I was not a good poet, and I felt very intimidated, but Dionne Brand was so lovely and supportive, and I still can't believe I read any of my work in front of her. Number 2, Daniel McIver. Daniel McIver represents everything I love about theater. His writing is electric and hilarious and insightful and heartbreaking, and he makes it look so effortless. I first found his work in high school when my drama class watched a film adaptation of his play House, in which he plays a character who breaks the fourth wall and entertains his audience with delightful rants, including one about not wearing any socks. I'm still trying to track down a copy of my own. He's a one-man tour de force, and I'm so proud he's a Canadian to boot. Number 3, Mariko Tamaki. Mariko Tamaki is the author I want to be when I grow up. She's best known for her graphic novels Skim, Emiko Superstar, and This One Summer, and she also writes for Marvel and DC. I recommend you check out This One Summer first. It's a coming-of-age story about 2 preteen girls, Rose and Windy, during a summer in Owago, a small beach town. Also, it was the most challenged book in the US last year, and I'm making it my mission to put it in everyone's hands. Number 4, Emma Donoghue. Most readers will know Emma Donoghue for her phenomenal book Room, which was written from the perspective of a 5-year-old boy being held captive in a small room with his mother. Definitely a tearjerker, I warn you now. If you want a little more L from your LGBTQ books, then I'd recommend you check out 2 of her non-fiction books. The first is Inseparable, Desire Between Women in Literature. And the second is Passions Between Women, British Lesbian Culture between 1668 and 1801. Number 5, Douglas Coupland. It might help to think of Douglas Coupland as Canada's Chuck Palahniuk in the sense that they both write transgressive fiction and have plots that end up in the oddest places, and yet it happens so naturally. He's also a family favorite in the sense that the Moffat clan is full of Couplandites. I'd recommend one of his earlier works, All Families Are Psychotic, in which a dysfunctional family in Vancouver all come together to watch the daughter, Sarah, an astronaut, launch into space. Trust me on this one. Number 6, Deborah Ellis. I had no idea Deborah Ellis was an LGBTQ author, and I am so thrilled. Ellis is an author and an activist, and she uses her platform to advocate for peace and to advocate for understanding between different cultures. She primarily writes for children and examines the hardships of less fortunate children around the world, and covers everything from sudden displacement to life as a refugee to poverty and even drug smuggling. I'd recommend you start with her series The Breadwinner, especially because the animated feature film will be coming out sometime this year. After her father is unjustly arrested, Parvana, a girl in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan, must dress as a boy in order to find work to support her mother and her sister. Did I mention Ellis donates almost all of her book royalties to charities? She's the perfect human, I swear. Number 7, Ivan Coyote. Ivan Coyote is a Canadian spoken word performer, writer, and LGBTQ advocate. They've written 11 books in addition to 4 short films and 3 albums that combine storytelling with music. And Coyote's work explores common themes ranging from gender identity to family, class, social justice, and queer liberation. Their most recent book, Tomboy Survival Guide, is a funny and moving memoir told in stories about how they learn to accept their tomboy past while still carving out a space for those of us who don't accept boxes or labels or identities. Definitely an excellent place to start exploring Coyote's work. Number 8, Tanya Huff. I was so happily surprised by this news. Tanya Huff is a Canadian fantasy author, and she spent a good portion of her career managing Baka Books, North America's oldest surviving sci-fi and fantasy bookstore in Toronto. If you think Jim Butcher and Laurel K. Hamilton write excellent urban fantasy, then you need to check out Tanya Huff. I was instructed to start with The Blood Books, a series that follows Victoria Vicky Nelson, a former police officer with failing eyesight, and Henry Fitzroy, a vampire who writes historical romances. Count me in. Number 9, Skye Gilbert. Again, I discovered Skye Gilbert's work around the same time that I discovered Daniel McIver. Not to mention, Skye Gilbert was a drama teacher at my school when I was doing my undergrad degree, and there was some serious fangirling going on. Gilbert was also the co-founder and artistic director of Buddies in Bad Times, a Toronto-based theatre company dedicated to LGBTQ drama. If you know Toronto's queer scene, then you definitely know of and have been to Buddies. Skye Gilbert is a prolific author, and I might suggest you start where I did, which was with Avoidance Tactics. This book collects 3 plays in total, 2 of which are unauthorized biographies of prominent gay men Schubert and William Ing. He's wickedly funny, and I highly recommend his work. And number 10, Zoe Whittall. Zoe Whittall is a Canadian poet and author, and she's got 4 novels and 3 books of poetry to her name thus far. Her most recent book, The Best Kind of People, is a timely and heartbreaking exploration of the damage an entire community incurs after a well-respected male teacher is arrested for sexual impropriety. Whittall has a knack for exploring the many complicated perspectives of an intense issue, and she received tons of praise for this book for a very good reason. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but I do think it's a solid place to start. If you're sad that I missed any authors on this list, please feel free to add their names in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more videos from across the Litiverse. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you like this video and you want to support this channel. On that note, signing off.